Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the 12 motorcycles to never buy in 2026, even if dealers beg you. Number 12, Harley-Davidson Sportster S. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S looks like the kind of motorcycle that's impossible to ignore, and dealers may be more than willing to tempt buyers with discounts or attractive financing in 2026. But before signing the paperwork, it's worth asking why so many examples continue sitting on showroom floors longer than expected. A lower price doesn't automatically make it a better purchase. One of its biggest drawbacks is that it struggles to satisfy either side of the market. Traditional Harley riders often find it too aggressive and too far removed from the classic cruiser experience, while riders seeking outright performance can find more capable motorcycles at a similar price. As a result, the Sportster S occupies an awkward middle ground that limits its appeal. Comfort also becomes a common complaint after the initial excitement wears off. The firm suspension, limited fuel range, and riding position can make longer trips less enjoyable than many buyers anticipate, especially when compared with other motorcycles in the same price bracket. There are simply stronger options available that offer better comfort, broader appeal, and more reassuring long-term value. A dealership incentive might save you money up front, but it won't change the compromises you'll continue living with long after the sale is complete. The Harley-Davidson Sportster S opens this list because an attractive discount can't hide the fact that there are better motorcycles worth buying in 2026. Number 11, Kawasaki Eliminator. The Kawasaki Eliminator has attracted plenty of attention since its return, and some dealers may be eager to put one in your garage with attractive pricing or financing offers. But don't mistake availability for value. In 2026, there are several reasons why this motorcycle deserves a closer look before you commit. The biggest issue is that the Eliminator tries to appeal to too many riders without truly excelling in any one area. It isn't as comfortable or substantial as larger cruisers, yet it also lacks the excitement and personality that many riders expect when spending this kind of money. For many buyers, it can start feeling like a compromise rather than a long-term investment. Another concern is long-term ownership satisfaction. As riders gain experience, many begin looking for something with more touring capability, stronger road presence, or a more engaging riding experience. That often means the Eliminator is traded in much sooner than originally planned, leading to unnecessary depreciation. For nearly the same budget, there are motorcycles that offer more character, greater versatility, and stronger long-term value. A persuasive salesperson may tell you it's the perfect first cruiser, but that doesn't necessarily make it the smartest motorcycle to own for years to come. The Kawasaki Eliminator earns its place on this list because an attractive showroom deal doesn't change the fact that many buyers quickly outgrow what it has to offer in 2026. Number 10, Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is one of the most outrageous motorcycles money can buy, and that's exactly what makes it such a risky purchase. Dealers may try to convince you that its massive presence and incredible performance justify the price, but for most riders, the reality of ownership is far less exciting than the first test ride. Its biggest drawback isn't quality, it's practicality. The Rocket 3 is an enormous motorcycle with a level of performance that few owners will ever fully use. For everyday commuting, weekend rides, or even touring, its size and weight can become more of a burden than a benefit, especially in traffic or low-speed situations. Ownership costs are another factor that many buyers underestimate. Insurance, premium tires, servicing, and replacement parts all add up, making the Rocket 3 significantly more expensive to own than many motorcycles that deliver a similarly enjoyable riding experience. Unless you specifically want one of the biggest production motorcycles ever built, there are far more sensible options that offer greater versatility, lower running costs, and a broader range of everyday usability. A dealer may make the numbers look appealing, but the long-term ownership experience often tells a different story. Number 9, Harley-Davidson Pan America. The Harley-Davidson Pan America is often advertised as a serious adventure motorcycle, and dealers may be willing to offer attractive discounts to get one out of the showroom. But don't let those incentives rush your decision. In 2026, this is one motorcycle that's worth thinking twice about before signing the paperwork. One of the biggest concerns is resale value. Unlike Harley-Davidson's traditional cruisers, the Pan America appeals to a much smaller group of buyers, making it harder to sell or trade in when it's time to move on. That limited demand can translate into steeper depreciation than many owners expect. Another factor working against the Pan America is the sheer strength of the competition. Buyers in this segment can choose from motorcycles with decades of proven adventure credentials, stronger resale values, and larger owner communities. That makes it much harder for the Pan America to justify its price once the excitement of owning something different begins to fade. Unless you're specifically buying it because you genuinely want Harley-Davidson's interpretation of an adventure bike, there are simply stronger options available. The Harley-Davidson Pan America earns its place on this list because a great showroom deal can't overcome the fact that many competing adventure motorcycles offer a more convincing ownership experience in 2026. Number 8. Indian Scout Bobber. The Indian Scout Bobber has undeniable showroom appeal, and that's exactly what makes it an easy motorcycle to buy on emotion. Dealers know its low stance and aggressive styling attract attention, but once the excitement wears off, many owners begin noticing compromises that are much harder to ignore. The biggest drawback is comfort. The low seat, limited suspension travel, and minimalist design create a riding position that looks fantastic, but can become tiring much sooner than many buyers expect. Short rides are enjoyable, but longer days in the saddle often reveal the compromises that come with its stripped-down design. Practicality is another concern. Riders who initially buy the Scout Bobber for its appearance often end up spending additional money on seats, suspension upgrades, luggage solutions, and other accessories just to make it more comfortable and usable. Those extra costs can quickly erase any attractive deal offered by the dealership. For similar money, there are cruisers that deliver a far more complete ownership experience without requiring owners to start modifying the motorcycle almost immediately. The Indian Scout Bobber belongs on this list because its stunning appearance can distract buyers from the everyday compromises that become much more obvious after the first few months of ownership. Number 7. BMW K1600B. The BMW K1600B is an impressive motorcycle on paper, and dealers may be happy to negotiate because it's a premium machine with a limited pool of buyers. But before you get drawn in by a discounted price, remember that buying an expensive motorcycle is only the beginning. Owning it is where the real costs start. Its biggest drawback is the overall cost of ownership. Routine servicing, replacement parts, premium tires, and insurance can add up quickly, making the K1600B significantly more expensive to keep on the road than many riders initially expect. A lower purchase price doesn't change those long-term expenses. There's also the issue of practicality. The K1600B is a large, heavy touring motorcycle that shines on long highway trips but can feel excessive for commuting, short rides, or everyday use. Many owners simply don't use its full potential often enough to justify everything that comes with owning it. For the same kind of money, there are motorcycles that are easier to live with, less expensive to maintain, and appealing to a wider range of riders when it's time to sell. A dealer may present the K1600B as an incredible bargain, but that doesn't automatically make it the right buy. The BMW K1600B earns its place on this list because an attractive showroom discount can't outweigh the high ownership costs and limited practicality that many riders eventually discover. Number 6. Suzuki Boulevard M109R. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R still turns heads with its muscular styling and massive rear tire, and dealers may even tempt buyers with aggressive discounts to move remaining inventory. But before you let its appearance make the decision for you, it's worth considering whether it still makes sense in 2026. One of its biggest drawbacks is that the motorcycle is starting to show its age. While the design remains striking, the overall package no longer feels as modern as many competitors in the same price range. Buyers are paying for a motorcycle whose fundamentals haven't evolved much while the market around it has continued to move forward. The M109R is also a demanding motorcycle to live with. Its size, weight, and wide rear tire can make low-speed riding, parking, and everyday commuting more work than many owners anticipate. Those characteristics may look impressive in the showroom, but they become far more noticeable during daily ownership. When you compare it with newer cruisers offering better technology, improved comfort, and a more balanced riding experience, the Boulevard M109R becomes a much harder motorcycle to recommend. A generous dealership discount may grab your attention, but it doesn't change the fact that there are better long-term buys available today. The Suzuki Boulevard M109R belongs on this list because its bold styling can hide an ownership experience that no longer feels as competitive as it once did in 2026. Number 5. Indian FTR. The Indian FTR is one of those motorcycles that can easily win you over during a test ride. It looks distinctive, feels exciting, and stands out from almost everything else on the road. But before you let that excitement make the decision, remember that owning a motorcycle for years is very different from riding it for an afternoon. One of its biggest drawbacks is its limited versatility. The FTR doesn't fit neatly into any category. It isn't a dedicated sport bike, it isn't a true touring machine, and it isn't a comfortable cruiser. That unique personality is appealing at first, but many owners eventually realize it isn't as practical as they originally imagined. Resale value is another concern. Because the FTR appeals to a relatively small group of buyers, selling or trading one can take longer than expected. That limited demand also increases the risk of heavier depreciation, reducing the value of any dealership discount you receive today. For similar money, there are motorcycles that offer a more complete ownership experience, better everyday comfort, and stronger long-term value. Buying the FTR because it looks different is understandable, but that alone isn't enough to justify the compromises that come with it. The Indian FTR earns its place on this list because its uniqueness can be both its greatest strength and its biggest weakness, making it a motorcycle that's easier to admire than to own for the long haul in 2026. Number 4. Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster may wear one of the most recognizable names in motorcycling, but don't let that badge make the decision for you. Dealers may present it as the perfect entry into the Harley-Davidson family, yet in 2026 there are several reasons to think carefully before taking the deal. Its biggest problem is value. Once you compare the Nightster with similarly priced motorcycles, it becomes clear that many competitors offer more comfort, stronger equipment, or a more engaging riding experience for the same money. The Harley name carries weight, but it also comes with a premium that isn't always easy to justify. The Nightster also struggles to deliver the classic Harley experience many buyers expect. Longtime Harley fans often find it lacks the character of the brand's traditional cruisers, while riders coming from other manufacturers don't necessarily see enough advantages to overlook its compromises. That leaves it in an awkward position where it doesn't fully satisfy either group. If you're buying it simply because it's one of the more affordable Harley-Davidson models, it's worth slowing down and exploring the alternatives first. A dealership incentive may make the monthly payment look attractive, but it won't change how you feel about the motorcycle after the novelty wears off. The Harley-Davidson Nightster belongs on this list because buying a motorcycle for its badge alone rarely ends well, especially when stronger options exist in the same price range in 2026. Number 3. Indian Challenger. The Indian Challenger is an impressive touring motorcycle, and dealers may be willing to make attractive offers because it's a premium machine with a high price tag. But before you assume a discount makes it a bargain, remember that the purchase price is only one part of the ownership equation. One of the biggest concerns is depreciation. Luxury touring motorcycles often lose value faster than many buyers expect, and the Challenger is no exception. Even a generous dealership incentive can be offset by the amount of value the motorcycle sheds during the first few years of ownership. It's also a motorcycle that makes the most sense for a very specific type of rider. If you aren't regularly covering long highway distances or taking extended touring trips, much of what the Challenger offers simply goes unused. There are less expensive touring motorcycles that deliver a similarly satisfying experience while costing less to buy, maintain, and eventually sell. A dealership may convince you that you're getting an incredible deal, but that doesn't automatically make it the smartest financial decision. The Indian Challenger earns its place on this list because its premium price and limited practicality for the average rider make it a purchase that's worth reconsidering in 2026. Number 2, BMW R18. The BMW R18 is impossible to ignore in a showroom. Its massive boxer engine, premium finishes, and unmistakable styling give it incredible presence, which is exactly why dealers work so hard to attract buyers. But in 2026, it's one motorcycle that's much easier to admire than to justify owning. One of the biggest concerns is depreciation. The R18 hasn't held its value as strongly as many premium cruiser buyers expected, and used prices have softened enough to make buying a brand new example difficult to justify. Even a sizable dealership discount may not be enough to offset that loss in value. It's also a motorcycle built for a fairly narrow audience. Its size, weight, and unique riding character appeal to enthusiasts who specifically want an R18, but many riders eventually realize it's less versatile than other premium cruisers in the same price range. That can make ownership feel more limiting over time. When you consider the number of excellent cruisers available for similar money, it's hard to recommend choosing the R18 unless you've wanted this exact motorcycle for years. The BMW R18 belongs near the top of this list, because a tempting discount can't fully compensate for its depreciation, limited appeal, and the stronger alternatives available in 2026. Number 1, Triumph Trident 660. The Triumph Trident 660 is a good motorcycle, but that's exactly what makes it the most surprising entry on this list. Dealers may tell you it's the perfect all-rounder, and they're not entirely wrong. The problem is that in 2026, there are simply too many motorcycles that do the same job while offering more value, stronger character, or a more memorable ownership experience. The Trident's biggest weakness is that it plays things too safely. It performs well in almost every category, yet it rarely stands out as the best choice in any of them. That can leave owners wondering whether they should have spent their money on something more exciting, more comfortable, or better equipped after the initial excitement fades. Another issue is the level of competition. The middleweight segment has become one of the most crowded markets in motorcycling, giving buyers countless alternatives with aggressive pricing and stronger feature lists. If you're getting an exceptional discount, the Trident may still be worth considering. But at or near full price, there are simply too many compelling alternatives that deserve your attention before you sign the paperwork. The Triumph Trident 660 takes the top spot because being a good motorcycle is no longer enough in today's market. And buying one just because a dealer convinces you to could leave you wishing you'd explored the competition first. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.